Hey there, today I am going to talk about and show you a small demo on making mixed media art using common household supplies. So, like, no barriers to creating, right? So, a lot of times, at least me, I have a hard time starting. I have a hard time, like, oh, what am I going to do and how am I going to do it? Or I don't have enough time. But we just want to make this quick and simple and cost effective in terms of you don't need to run to Michael's and buy a tube of paint or something. So we're going to use cardboard as our base, or if you don't have cardboard, you could use like a craft paper bag or any kind of paper, any bag that you brought groceries home in, that you could kind of cut up or rip apart. Even printer paper would be fine. Anything that you can just have as a layer. And then on top of that, we're going to put collage, like tissue paper from a gift or old wrap, those little scraps of paper that like they're so cute and you can't get rid of. It's like, oh, what am I going to do with that? You're going to use it today. You're going to use it as on top of your substrate to kind of create some cool texture. So it doesn't matter what color it is or what it looks like or what shape it's in. It could also be just an old book that you have that you aren't reading or someone in your household isn't reading. You could take those pages out. I really like the look of that. But we're all different and we all create differently. So whatever you want. Actually, even magazines are great. Although I think a lot of people now no longer have magazines delivered to their house. So that's the olden days for you. But anyway, if you have a magazine, you can also rip that up or cut pictures out or words out and use that as well. So the only other things I can think of that you might need are craft paint or, house paint would be perfectly fine too. If you have a pencil or colored pencils, if you're really fancy, a marker, a Sharpie, a crayon, anything that's in your junk drawer, go take a look, see what you got. Pencil lead, you know how those mechanical pencils, you might even have a mechanical pencil or some lead. That kind of that'd be kind of cool. So another thought is maybe some glue or tape and maybe some scissors. So not necessarily required, but if you are going to do some collage on there, you will need to have something to adhere it. Even some tape would work just fine. So whatever you have, go grab it, scrounge around and see what you have. And then I'm going to use really limited supplies. And I'm not going to use any of my regular art supplies for this, although I do really like creating on cardboard. So that would be considered maybe one of my regular supplies. But anyway, go grab your stuff and let's do a small project. Okay, for this project, I am going to just use cardboard that I've cut off a box, and then I'm going to glue book paper onto it. And like I said before, you could use magazines or whatever you have on hand. It could be your recycled papers or whatever. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to glue this all on, and then I will show you the next phase. So I will speed this up because I think you guys probably know how to use glue. Okay, now before I actually start putting some paint down, I'm going to use some of the other materials that I had showed you earlier. So I'm going to start just making marks on my paper. Now I typically use kind of more muted colors, and obviously from just the looks of this, but you're welcome to use whatever colors that you're really drawn to and attracted to, and whatever things you have. Obviously, if you only have, a black Sharpie, then you're probably just going to be making marks with this and, a pencil. So use what you have, and I'm going to just start putting marks, all different kinds of marks. Typically, I use lines and circles. Those are my favorite, and sometimes T's and sometimes numbers. And so I will just do that, and then I will come back to you. I'm going to try to use as many of these as I can, and then I will come back and talk about the next step. think I've added enough marks on this. And I'm going to paint over the top of it, which I know seems counterintuitive, but you will be able to see some of these marks, and I will add some more in after as we get going. Now, one of the things I didn't mention is that it would be handy to have a paintbrush, but if you don't have one, you can use your fingers, which I often do. You can also use different materials like an old credit card, or pieces of cardboard. You can scrape with all kinds of materials, so you don't necessarily have to have a paintbrush. And if you don't, that's fine. And obviously, if you don't have paint, then you would continue using your other supplies, and you could do more with this. I'm going to assume that a lot of you are going to have some kind of paint, even if it's house paint, and we'll continue with that. First thing I think I'm going to do, which I think will be kind of fun, is I'm going to staple the edges real quick. And I will say that my glue might not be super secure, not that that matters, but whereas if you did Mod Podge, it would be very secure and all these pieces would lay down. Now they will when I put the paint over the top, that will help lay them down. The other thing is for your paint, you might need a like a paper plate or a little bowl or something. I actually have this paint tray and I already put some paint out on it, and so I'm just going to use that. And I have a couple paint brushes that I'm going to use. So I'm going to first just paint over the entire thing, which, like I said, just seems kind of odd, but it all will show up, even though it's a little bit more, it's fainter, but it will show up. And honestly, I think that's kind of fun to have all these layers underneath that kind of peek through. And some of these will pop out, like this brown is popping out more than the other colors, which I think is kind of fun. And then you can scrape back with your little tool like this, and it might reveal some things, like this paper started pulling up, which I am actually okay with. So now that it's wet, I'm going to grab my mechanical pencil, and I'm just going to add a few more lines, circles right through here. And that is not wanting to stick down, but I'm okay. It doesn't. But sometimes, paint will also act as a glue. So that's kind of fun, just to make some more random marks with your pencil when it's wet, or with your marking tool. It could be a skewer or anything that you have on hand. The other thing, now I think I'm going to go in with some of this lighter blue color, and I'm just going to use, sorry, you can't see that. I'm just using this credit card, and I'm going to scrape it on random spots, kind of like this. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so like this is kind of sticking up. Don't be afraid to get your fingers in there and move the paint around that way too. So use some more over here. Now I think I'm going to go in with the black. We need something bold. Let's do some circles. Like I told you, I'm a big fan of circles. So let's do circles. And let's do some scraping, because I feel like I kind of lost that circle there. And we don't need as many of these lines. So I can move that paint around, put it in other spots, cover up some things I don't want. And if I want that to be lighter again, we'll just come back in with some paint. Now, it's smart if you wait, obviously, till it dries, but I'm a little impatient. And so often my colors get a little muddy because I'm impatient. But I like how some of this is scraping back through. Now, with this, you can just wipe it off on a paper towel, or I like to use it and even grab a piece of book paper and just, use that. And then I'll use this later. Like I might rip this out, this shape out. For example, let's say I want to add a piece right here. Let's just add that right there. So you can add that right back on, or you can just use it for another project. So, all right, we're going to pause here for a second. I'm going to let it dry a little bit, and then we'll finish up. Okay, I started adding some white paint in here because I had an idea after I did this piece that maybe I would add in some book papers. So like this, and just add in some paper, and then take my black again and go around, kind of, making some additional marks. And then I think we're going to add a clump there. We're just about done, but as you can see, you can make a fun little project in very little time. And now, of course, it's hard for me to stop, because once I get started, I have a hard time stopping. But as you can see, you can make marks with just about anything. And it's fun to kind of have it not be perfect. So, all right, I think we're going to stop there for today. circles, how simple is that? Book paper, cardboard, there's your first project. I'm going to show you a couple other ones that I made along the same lines using the exact same materials. Here's one, it's almost dry, that I did earlier. And here's another one that I did. As you can see, I got a theme with the circles, and it's all using the exact same thing. The cardboard, the book paper, the black paint, the white paint, the kind of light aqua paint, and then all the mark making from underneath. And you can see some of the marks really came through and others didn't. I came back with pencils on this one, just all different things that you can do. And I will take a picture and show this at the end. Thanks for watching.